Hi, and welcome to my show, Ask Don't Tell. The best salespeople, but sometimes we aren't dealing with salespeople. We are dealing with people that are what someone would actually consider non traditional sales, or maybe you don't consider yourself a salesperson at all. But this is the show that we teach you that you don't have to be a jerk. You really can connect with your clients, with your customers, and by just being human, man, you can really impact the life out there without being a jerk. So today's guest is someone who knows all about making complex decisions easier. Not just, like I said, he has to at some point sell you the services, but that's not what it's all about. It's about life and legacy to really help whether your family or your business. Blake B. Johnson, he's a managing partner at Trusty Estate Planning Attorneys. He's built a practice around helping business owners, families, high net worth individuals, and overcome the very complicated, I'm sure, misconceptions. We'll get into that of planning, trusts, and business succession. He's also the author of the top 15 estate planning questions answered in plain English, a no fluff, real talk guide to protecting what matters most. Blake, thank you for being on the show. Tell me if I completely messed that up, but welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Oscar. The only thing I'd add is the book title is actually "You Can't Take It With You," and then the top 15 estate planning questions is the subtitle. But other than that, you did
All
great.
right, there you go. So you clean it up. All right, so let's unpack this. And so, why do people come to you for help? Why do they come to you for help?
It's one of two reasons. Either one, they somebody died and they didn't have a plan in place, and so they're trying to figure out what's supposed to happen, what are the next steps, or they've already gone through that with somebody else and they realize I don't want to leave that mess to my kids. So how do I plan to protect that and make sure it's not a mess when I pass away for my kids?
All right. Well, you said it in the title of the book. You can't take it with you, right? But I mean, there's so ultimately you're solving a problem, right? And that problem is I can't take it with me. Maybe I have kids. Maybe I don't have kids. Maybe I have a business. Maybe I have a company. Maybe I have different kids from different parents. And so they come with you to solve a specific challenge. But what is specifically because there's different avenues, different solutions to solve the same challenge. So what challenge in particular are most people coming to you for?
So it's interesting. When I first started, it was very much a just how do I pass on as much as I can to my kids? Because it was, first starting out, it was the people that didn't have, high net worth individuals aren't coming to a guy who's right out of law school and starting. So it's just, I want to give as much as I can and not give it to the government and not have it go to taxes or, other things like that. What it is now is I'm worried about my kids, that about how they're going to handle the amount of money that they're going to get. I don't want to just give them a big giant trust fund and have them sit on their butt and do nothing. It's how do I teach them a financial responsibility? How do I make sure that this isn't going to ruin their lives, that they're going to, it's all going to go up their nose or down the drain. Those are the concerns that the high net worth people are coming to us to talk about. And it's not necessarily even high net worth. It's most individuals. They're concerned. They want to make sure they've taught their kids well and that they're not going to ruin their life by leaving them a bunch of money.
Okay. So kind of what I'm hearing there is, the cookie cutter approach that most people think about estate planning is a will, right? A will, or maybe if they're a little bit more advanced, a trust. Perhaps if they are a little bit more advanced, a directive. But that's kind of the cookie cutter approach. And what you're kind of saying is it goes beyond that cookie cutter approach. It's actually less about a mechanic and more about a strategic, it's almost like chess, strategic moves of what they have to do, not only legally, but also financially. Like it involves, legal knowledge to say, okay, if we do this, then this won't happen. Tell me a little bit about how is that, like, what, like I said, there's different solutions to solve the same problem. So they come with you for that, but they could have gotten that from some research, or or gone on a specific online site, why do people come to you for the solution of an actual one-on-one human, and this is what we're talking, human skills, estate planner that's going to go beyond just the mechanics, just the traditional, oh, I need, like, what is it that additional value that you give them that says, hey, like, there's no way I could do something this difficult just online. Like, I need someone like you, like Blake, to help me navigate all this. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, in full disclosure, I am on the board of a tech company that does estate planning online. So, there is a place for that. But as you said, it's very cookie cutter because the code that is in that is, you know, if you do X, then this happens, and then this happens, and this happens. There's no real variety there. It's not thinking. It's if you choose this, then this is the route you're going down. And when you're first starting out, that can be a great thing because the cost is a lot less prohibitive. And so, somebody's first starting out, hey, that's way better than nothing. It's gets you in the door, it gets you something to start. And I would much rather you have that than have nothing. But the issue that arises, and the reason, whenever somebody asks me, like, aren't you worried about, being replaced by technology? And it's like, not really, because my approach has been, um, what is important to you? What are the values? What are the things that you want to make sure pass on to your kids or your next generation, or hopefully generations to come? And then we build our estate plan around that. So much of the estate planning and things that attorneys do or financial planners do is based on how much money can I pass to the next generation, because that's the easy thing to calculate. There's specific strategies to save on estate taxes, to minimize those and do those things. So that's kind of the easy plan. And sometimes we let the tax tail wag the dog, and it's not, and it should be the other way around. So it's starting with, okay, what are the things that are important to you? Is it teaching your kids financial responsibility? Is it that they go get an education? Is it that they continue to do family vacations together? Is it that they have adventure and do and get a nice variety in their life and travel and those kind of things? Okay, now from there, then I can build a plan that works within that framework. And so that's the real thing of what you're looking for in that in-person attorney is, do they have a personality, and can they understand what's important to you and build their plan around that, instead of trying to say, oh, your net worth this, okay, you need to save this much in tax, here's exactly how you do it, boom, you're done, and not even a discussion of what your family dynamic is like.
Well, what you just described is, it's a huge shift, because ultimately, like you said, for a simple, estate planning for, a very large number of people, something online may be, X leads to Y leads to C. Okay, you've got it. And at least you've got it. You have to, it doesn't matter who you are, you have to have some sort of estate planning. But the
Yeah.
difference between what you're suggesting is that machine or AI or the online is not going to ask you deep third level questions, which I call, which is discovery, really. And as an attorney, you know that. Um, deep questions of what it is that really matters to the client, and what is their actual, you know, goal for their estate planning, for their kids, for their business, for their future. It's really digging deep, and it's ultimately using your human skills of listening, empathy, understanding to say, okay, how can I help this person, right? And that's a big shift, because maybe a non-experienced, you know, estate planner might just go into a pitch, right? And that pitch is X, Y, leads to C, but you're trying to uncover, okay, where's the tax drag? Where are all these things that are going to affect 20, 30 years down the line? So what are some of those questions in discovery? Give me an example of some, if somebody can learn from you, because ultimately you wrote a book, right? And people are trying to learn from you. So what are some of those really deep third level questions that you ask clients, or that you encourage other people that you would want to encourage other people to ask their clients that makes you really see how, what the right solution for them is? And you gave a couple, but I want to dig deep on what some of those questions are.
Yeah, I think the first one is, what are the things that you value? What's most important? What, if there's two things that you could make sure that, your great great grandkids knew that you valued, what would those be? What is it? Is it that education? Is that work ethic? What is that? And that leads to a really good discussion about, okay, what is it that we really need to focus on? Another really good one that I like is, tell me about your family dynamics. Like, which of the kids are married? Okay, how are those marriages? Are we worried about divorce in there? Do you have any kids that are special needs? What are those special needs entail? What do we need to plan for that aspect? Those are kind of the main ones that draw, at least get us started, and then from there, it's we continue to dive deeper based on individual circumstances and situations.
So, Blake, like I always say it, if you listen to the intro of this podcast, I said, I bring in, rock stars, solid people to on the show. And you literally just proved, I mean, I don't even have to say, you proved it. Like I can do a little intro about you at the beginning of the show, but when it's you start answering these questions, I'm talking to a pro, which is why you write the books, which is why you're on the podcast, which is why you are who you are. Listen to the questions that you asked. And I'm sure there's many, many estate planners out there who, I mean, it's a business to them. At the end of the day, we're all a business, right? And that business is bring them in, bring it out, do the estate planning. And it's a little bit of a pitch, but what you did is literally, I mean, it's digging deep. I wouldn't even call it sales. I wouldn't even call it it's really saying, I care about you. I care about your future. Let's dig deep. And the question that you asked, I mean, I actually have never heard that before. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna steal it from you. What would you like your grandchildren to something like that to know about you? I mean, do you realize what a powerful question is? I think you're a good question asker and don't even realize what a powerful question that is.
It's one that's one that I haven't been doing that a long time, but it's one that I found recently that really does have an impact. As we've really focused in on what makes us, stand out. And that's one of them is how can we plan for that? Because ideally, in trust, depending on the state, they can go on for 1,000 years.
Right.
Or if you're in South Dakota, they can go on indefinitely. So that's a long time. If you have a huge net worth that can go on, you think about the Rockefellers in particular, they've had their wealth go on years and years and years and continue to grow and not go away. Contrast that to the Vanderbilts who squandered it all within 3 generations.
Right.
What was the difference? They set up the trust and they had the values to go with it. That was the difference. Because Vanderbilt did the estate planning, but he didn't have the values instilled within the documents themselves. And
right.
that's why you see that difference.
Right. And most people don't realize that there are many different types of estate plans out there. There are definitely different types of trusts. I mean, it'll make your head spin when you see all those trusts out there. And the only way for you to identify what is the right one for them with the right language even and how long is by asking those deep questions. I mean, even the questions that you asked me made me think, and I was like, wow, that's powerful because you probably see someone slow down, think, and then give you the information that you need to provide that solution where it's ultimately, are they on a timeline to outlive their money ultimately, right? Or are they on a timeline to leave something for the rest? All right. So that's some really good stuff. Now, why you? Like, why, like, how, I've already got the questions, right? Like just seeing that you're going to dig deep or that someone that is really successful in your industry has to dig deep. Like they have to say the first thing I do is ask, don't tell. Like, I'm not even going to tell this person how I can help them. I have to find out first, ask how I'm going to do that. Right. And I can tell you've got great human skills to do that. But there might be a lot of Blakes out there, right, that do it that way, that do a good job. And I'm sure you know many of them. So I always like to say, well, why Blake? Why your firm?
Yep. No, it's a valid point. It's uh, I love being able to talk about this because then it's like, okay, what really does make us stand out. One of the things that I learned early on from my dad is being responsive. And so, the number one complaint about attorneys to the state bar is always lack of communication. And I'm not talking like a week, like it's 3, 4 weeks before you get a call back or an email back from somebody. And having to deal with other attorneys on some, probate issues, I've seen it. It's terrible. Whereas we have a firm rule, like all across, it's 24 business hours that we respond. Like, even if it's just, hey, I can't get to it, but I saw your email. I'm letting you know I'm going to get to it. Here's the timeline for that. It goes such a long way in helping people understand, okay, like I've been heard. Now I know what to expect. And then we don't ever have those complaints that come in. The other thing we do is, along with that, is our quick turnaround. It's not like, sometimes that gets lost in, oh, you're just trying to, make it a business and churn them out as quick as you can. But that's not the reason. We do it on a 2-week turnaround for most stuff, is because we want clients to have these important documents in place. If we're waiting 3, 4 months to get something done, one, they're going to lose, their fire for why they were doing it, or forget about it entirely. And then, or worst case scenario, something can happen in that time frame. It's too long in between. So we want to get stuff done so that important stuff is there with, while it's still top of mind for them. And then lastly, the thing that I think is most important is I'm a second generation estate planning attorney. As I mentioned, I worked with my dad for a while, and he still practices and does his own thing. But because of that, I got to see the plans that he did. When he first started, clients passed away. We're actually on third generation when I'm coming in here. And so I get to see the effect of what those different plans did, which ones worked, which ones didn't. And so it gives me a lot better and broad base of knowledge to know, okay, yes, if we do this, this works out this way. And we got to make sure we look out for this little detail or this, family dynamic type thing. And so it's been really cool to see kind of all across instead of just my limited scope of what I've dealt with.
Right. Well, you're talking about 2, 3 generations of knowledge of estate planning, and just listening to you talk, I can tell that you're very well informed in what you do. Now, ultimately, that knowledge is, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's worthless
Yeah.
if it's not given. If your solution is not given to the right person, then that knowledge, which is a solution, is actually the wrong solution, and you're actually not, you're doing a disservice to that client who's looking to you for estate planning. So it goes back again to ask, don't tell. Empathy in answering and digging deep and saying, okay, what is this person ultimately trying to solve? And what, like you said earlier, what are the values that they are going to value even from their grave, right? I mean, and it's a difficult conversation, but unless you dig deep, you can't give them that knowledge. You can't give them the solution. They're gonna end up 6 months or a year down the road, or 2 years down the road, or 5 years down the road, spending the same amount of money or more trying to fix someone that, like you said, pushed them through without answering the right questions. So I kind of love how you unpack that. So in your book, you can't take it with you. Like you go. I think your goal there, in a way, was to simplify complex estate planning. And I might be wrong, but I think that you were trying to grab something that's actually very complicated and make it into something that people can understand, so that it's like, oh, I need estate plan. I need to take some sort of action, right? Was that the goal of the book, or what ultimately was your goal for that book?
Yeah, so it was really, I just kept getting asked the same questions over and over again. And, I wanted something that was just, hey, this is the basic knowledge that you need to have to know whether you need to take steps or not. And so it was, all right, how can I give as much of the information away in a very straightforward, easy to understand, it's a quick read. I think it's like 60 pages. And the idea is just, hey, this is something everybody could read. At the end of the day, they would know what action they would need to take. if any, and then what minimum documents they should have. And that was the goal. Is just here's what you need to know. Whether it's you come to me or go to somebody else, this is the basics for what you need to start, and then from there we can build from that.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to try something new here. I haven't tried it in any other show, so don't hate me. I'm trying something new here. So I do this in my trainings all the time, and I say, speak to me in benefits, right? So when people think about estate planning, they think, oh, they think about the features. Like a feature is, oh, I got to do a will, I got to do a trust, I got to do a directive, I've got to, those are features of estate planning, right? But speak to me in benefits. Like a benefit is something that's not a feature. It's something that impacts your life, or it's something that if you do something creates some sort of value. So in your industry, or when somebody, does estate planning or goes to you, speak to me in benefits. Give me like 2, 3 benefits. How would you, so there you go. Just answer that. Speak to me in benefits.
So yeah, the biggest one that comes to mind is peace of mind.
There you
Peace of
go.
mind knowing that if anything happens, you've laid out the right plan of what's going to happen, and that it's going to go to the right people. The other thing it does is, if you set it up correctly, you can help prevent fights. Now, not always. Some people are going to be combative and think they deserve more than what they're outlined to get. But a lot of times, if we can put that estate plan in place, we save family dynamics and really kind of create peace within the family. And then the other thing is, if something happens to you where you're incapacitated, you've also made those decisions. And so it's very easy. You're not putting burden on your family to try and figure out when do we pull the plug. You've already laid that all out. And so you've taken all the responsibility off of them and put it on yourself. And so they're not going to feel burdened by that as well.
I love that. I mean, again, you're a pro, right? Because I got to tell you, sometimes when I say speak to me in benefits, people are like, give me an example. And I didn't, you spoke in benefits with when you're in front of a client and you've done your proper discovery and you see that you can help them and you give them a solution. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of the way you talk, right? You just speak not in, you got to do X, this is how it's going to benefit your life. And this is why you have to take this action. And this is why you have to take this action today or now or whenever, because unless you do this, X won't happen. And so that's a skill, by the way, speaking in benefits that you may know, or you may not know or you may not know you have, but it's something that you can certainly, train yourself to do. So always be speaking in benefits. All right. So let's say you've done all this. I mean, you're speaking in benefits. You've uncovered what they need. There's a right solution. And by the way, I'll put a parenthesis. One of the benefits I would say, I would even add there is, you don't understand. I mean, the law in estate planning into tax law changes all the time, right? So one of the benefits is, even if you complete this today, you can still come back to Blake. I'm assuming 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years down the road, said, Blake, what is different today, right? Than in, getting something done online. And then you don't realize, well, what was created then doesn't apply today. So one of the huge benefits is just having that knowledge of information always available, because the law and the tax law changes absolutely all the time. So that's another one of your benefit statements.
There we go. Yeah.
Right.
State law itself doesn't change a whole lot, because it's on the state level, it's probate, it's that default stuff, but the tax side of it does. It's always that's
right. But the
part.
people that are coming to you, the high income, the high net worth, need to understand how those tax laws are going to change over time. I mean, the tax laws that were here a couple of years ago, where it allowed you to give X amount of dollars away in life, is very different than it is today. So that can change. All right. But we're not going to get into that today, because we could talk 3 hours into the actual laws of it. But all right. So you've uncovered, you've unpackaged what they need. I'm imagining this world where they're just telling you everything that you need to know. I'm imagining this world where Blake's doing, 90% of the listening. They're doing, 90% of the talking. You're doing 10% of the talking. Like, it's something that you're really digging deep. That's the world I'm imagining. And then you uncover what it is that they need, and you're able to present that proper solution for them. I see you doing that, because I know you're a rock star. So at some point, though, they've got to pull the trigger. Like they have to say, okay, but like, let's get this done. Let's do this today. You know, let's pay whatever needs to pay. What are some of the biggest objections, stalls, excuses that you get when you know you can help them, Blake? You know they're going to make the right decision, but then the wall. What are some of
Yeah.
those?
Excuse me. The biggest one is I just want to think about it and make sure I get it right. And it's like, okay, that's great. It's why you came to me as a professional. I can give you the right advice. But I think they're more concerned about, we ask those deep questions. So now they're really thinking about it. So it can kind of, come back to bite us because now they want to think so deeply on it. And so, that's one of the cautions I give is like, okay, we've talked about this. We've got 2 weeks. You can email me changes, updates, whatever. If you go back and you think about it, please send them to me. Even same day when you come in to sign, we'll make the changes if that's what's needed, to get it done. The other thing is most of the time, this stuff is not permanent. There's a few things, decisions based on different trusts where it might be permanent. But for the vast majority of it, we can change these things at any time. And so, given that flexibility, that, something in place is better than not. Because what happens is if somebody walks out my door after that meeting, the likelihood of them coming back and actually getting it done is probably 10%. It's really low. And so I try to explain that to them like, look, do something instead of nothing. Because I don't want to have your wife come back in 3 years and say, hey, we got to go through probate now because we didn't take the action today.
Okay. All right. So do you get more, so when you're in that point, do you get more, all right, yes, Blake, let's move forward. What's the next step? Like in your industry, in your business, or do you get more, let me think about it. Let me talk to my wife. Let me get it straight. I need to sit on it. I need to look at my other options. Like all the excuses people to talk about their life. Like which one do you kind of get more in your industry? Just because you're dealing with something so, so heavy, honestly, like no one wants
Yeah,
to make this decision.
it depends on where the client came from. If it's just somebody off of a Google, then it's probably about 50-50 whether they move forward or not.
Okay.
But if they're referred from, a past client or, a financial advisor that we work with, then it's closer to, 80-90% that they move forward with us because they've already had time to think about it, had that conversation. And so they're like, okay, yeah, I was told I need to do this. So let's just move forward and do that. And then you have the very small minority who are coming in price shopping and they're just going to take the lowest price regardless of whatever value you can actually provide. And that's not a right fit for client for us at that point. I can usually tell that pretty quick based on the questions they're asking.
Okay. But kind of what I'm sensing is, and if you've ever read Closing Intelligence, How to Get Others to Say Yes in Life and Business, which I wrote, you realize that you're going to get a lot of no's in life, or a lot of excuses, objections, stalls, because people are trying to defer a decision that's either going to cost them money or uncomfort or time. And usually what they tell you, which is what you're saying to me, are excuses, right? And you've mentioned some of the excuses that they give you. And many times it is what it is. It's just an excuse because for some reason they don't want to move forward, right? Like they're looking for the perfect timing to move forward. What's one way that, like, what's your, I guess in your toolbox, in your skill set, your technique, or it doesn't have to be a technique. Like, how do you help those people? Because you said it very quickly in your discovery, you can tell if you help them, but it kills me. When I know that I can help someone and I know that they're a right fit, and you're right. I mean, if they leave your office, it's a coin toss, right? Because then they'll go home, think about it. And if you're listening to this, by the way, I'm speaking sales. I'm not speaking estate plan. I'm just speaking like to everyone out there. This just happens to be estate planning, but Blake's grinning because he knows that I'm right. Like you've got them there and they're a client. You know that you can help them. You know their life's going to be impacted. You know that they're the right fit, but they're giving you those excuses. And you got to get to yes, you got to overcome, you got to solve, you got to give solution, because if they walk out your door, it's a coin toss. Now they could come back, but it's a coin toss, right? Because their job when they get home is to figure out how they're going to do the same thing that Blake taught them, maybe at less money, maybe with someone else, maybe later on. If you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how do you help people overcome those excuses, Blake? Like, what do you like to do? How do you do it? How do you get past it?
Um, it's hard. It really
Mm-hmm.
is, because usually by that point they've kind of made up their mind. So one of the things I try to do is determine whether it's actually price or not. And so say something to the effect of like, price aside, what would keep you from moving forward today, and see if they actually have something else, because it's usually something besides that. They have a concern about getting it right or whatever. And so that's where I try to show them, look, this isn't the final decision today. Like, yeah, we spent an hour together going through this. That's not enough time. You have time. I just want to get started because it takes me 2 weeks to draft it. And I don't want you waiting 2 more months to figure it out, or even 2 weeks from now, and then we start moving forward, because anything can happen in that time. And so it's really just kind of going back to showing them those benefits, like, hey, this is something you need, that, getting them to acknowledge it, and then trying to find out really what their main issue is. What's the thing that's holding up? Is it the thinking? Is it just straight up price? Is it something beyond that? One of the things I really like from a guy named William Lamb is he talks about how our brains don't hear no or not. And so frequently I'll say, I got this from him, is, I'm not here to tell you you have to sign up today. And what your brain hears is, I have to sign up today. but you sound like a good guy, because it's, hey, I'm not here to tell you you have to sign up today. But that, and subconsciously they hear that, and that works really well. A lot of times either they'll say yes then, or I'll get a call back before the end of the day with them saying, hey, let's move forward on it.
Right. Again, I know. So I'm a believer that it doesn't matter what industry you're in. The top producers are the most successful in those industries are those who are able to ask the right questions to uncover really what the other person wants, provide the right solution, but then at the end of the day, have enough sales ability to overcome the no. And the no, Blake, is part of the process in any industry, including estate planning. But in yours, it might be maybe not so much the no, just not today, right?
Yeah.
And you literally said, and you might not know this or you might have read it, but you're actually saying, kind of like I always say, that the best salespeople or the best business owners or the best leaders use all kind of the same traits. They just call them differently, but they use them. Look what you said. You did what I call isolate. You isolated the objection with an absolutely beautiful isolation. Besides the fact that this, is there any other reason that you wouldn't do this? Write that. If you're listening to this, write that down, because that forces the other side to put that excuses aside, literally rolled it. I mean, you put it aside, and then they're going to give you the real reason for stalling. And that's exactly what you did, right? And then you said something else. I'm always listening because that's what Ask Don't Tell is about. Then you said, then I'm going to go back to benefits, right? But really, what I would be teaching is that the benefit is the why today. Like, why today is going to benefit your life, as opposed to, so we put aside the not today, but this is why you need to do it today. So give me a couple benefits of why today. Like, why does someone, if they're in that process in sales or estate planning, and they're saying, and they're getting this all the time, like, excuse, you isolate, but then you have to say, this is why today. Give me some why todays.
Excuse me. I mean, the biggest one is it. I've even been direct with the clients. Like, look, if you walk out that door, the chances you get this done go down significantly.
I love it.
And,
I love it.
And if you do that, I don't want. It's more of, hey, I don't want that for you. I really want your family to be taken care of. So let's not have that be the issue. Another one that the reason for today is we could die at any time. I've actually seen it. I've met with a potential client. They wanted to think about it. They waited 3 weeks, and then I got a call from the wife saying, "Hey, he passed away. What do I need to do now?" And we had to go through with nothing in place. So there are big consequences for not acting today.
See, and what people need to understand in estate plan or any industry is that if you're listening to this and you're able to do what Blake is doing here, isolate and then give the why today, a lot of the times people don't like to be told what to do. And you said it, like they're going to hear what they want to hear, but people need to make their own decisions. Like you can't pitch power through and say, you got to do this. But when you get them to put that thing aside and say, okay, this is the real reason I'm not moving forward. And then you give them a reason, a why today, they may say, you know what, Blake, you're right. And it'll never be the right time. Blake, you're right. I am just making excuses. Blake, you're right. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Blake, you're right. You know what? I don't need to sleep on it. Blake, you're right. We spent 90 minutes already and I don't want to spend 90 minutes with someone else. Blake, you're right. And if you help them see that what they're giving you is just an excuse, then you're going to get that yes. And what I can sense from you is you're pretty good at getting that yes, because you said one thing and I wanted to stand out here. Look what you said. You said, I even say this to them. And then you said, I even say this to them as if like you're going to apologize that you say that to them. I say, no. You know what you're doing? You're providing human skills. And those human skills are actually what's going to get you the business many times. Like just simply being a human saying, look, we both know that if you walk out this door, most likely I'm never going to see you again. So besides that, is there any other reason why we could let's just move forward and just put that aside? And you're using human skills. And guess what? People respond to human skills. And that's what you've got, Blake. And I love it. I love the way that you help your clients do that. And I'm sure you're impacting lots and lots of lives. All right. So tell us what we need to do. I'm intrigued. I want to know more. I want to read your book. Tell the audience where they need to go to learn more about your book, and how to connect with you, because I want people to connect with you because you're the way that these businesses or estate planning need to be run with humans that actually care and can find the right solution for you. So how do we connect with you?
Biggest way would be LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So Blake Johnson, I think it's Las Vegas estate planning attorney is the tagline on there. So that'd be great. Love to connect with anybody there. Our website's trustedepa.com, as in Trusted Estate Planning Attorneys. And so either one of those, reach out. We'll be able to get connected, and my staff will get us on a call or something like that.
Okay. Should we lead people to the book, or do you want them to just kind of contact you directly?
If they want to find the book, it's on Amazon. You can't take it with you. Top 15 estate planning questions answered in plain English. But if you reach out, we could probably get you one from the firm directly.
Okay, awesome. I love free books, man.
Yep.
All right. So what's one piece of advice that you want to leave us with? And what I'm looking for here is whether it be advice from, hey, if you're going to an estate plan, and make sure they're asking the right questions, or whether it's, hey, this is why you need some full service firm, or hey, this is why you need take some sort of action, or hey, if you're listening to this and I've talked to you and you're still making excuses, take some action to what do you want the most for people to remember from our time here together, so they say, man, I remember Blake, and this is what it sticks, and this is what I need to do. What would that be?
From that perspective, it would be just take action. Anytime you take action, it's so much better than sitting and twiddling your thumbs or thinking about it or whatever. Action beats everything. So you got to take action there. The one advice that I have, I've really focused on the last little bit is more of it's just come to light of this is what I've always done, is do the right thing, and then the money follows. If you're doing the right thing for people, if it's actually the right solution and they can feel that, then that's going to have a huge impact. One of the reasons I feel like I've done so well is because of that. but when I was in law school one summer, I went and sold door to door, knocking doors, selling security systems. And my manager at the end of the summer was like, "You're not pushing hard enough. You didn't have any cancellations." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I'm not going to sell it to somebody who doesn't need it, doesn't want it, whatever." So everybody that I sold always kept it, and I was the only one in the company that had that record. And they thought that was a bad thing, but I looked at it as the right thing. It's like, nope, that means I only sold to people that I thought were actually going to benefit from this. And so that's kind of where it started. Is so if you do the right thing, then the money's going to follow.
I love the way you said it. And a lot of the times, so I'm an entrepreneur. I do several things, and I've got a wife that tells me, "Well, how are you going to make money with that?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. If we do the right things, the money will come." And usually it does. So I love that. But also, I want to leave it with this. So, you mentioned that you've been in the transactional world. I mean, selling security systems door to door. You've been in the trenches, man. And you get and you learn that the no is a part of life, right? But
Yeah.
ultimately, you can be the person that gets a lot of yeses and doesn't sleep at night because you hoodwink someone, or you can be the kind of person that gets a lot of yeses and sleeps wonderful at night, knowing that you're making an impact in the lives of others. So I think what you're doing now, you're still you. I'm sure you kind of live in that transactional world sometimes, just because of the nature of your business. You got to get a yes. If someone goes to your office and you don't get them to say yes, guess what? Nothing happens. But if something
Yep.
happens, if they take some sort of action, their life is impacted, and you can sleep well knowing that you did that. So I know that I certainly have a good guy and a rock star and someone that really knows what they're talking about in sales and estate planning. So I'm happy that you were on the show. Thank you for being on there. For all you listening to our for our podcast, can't wait to see you next time. Go to Ask Don't Tell podcast on Spotify, AskDon'tTell.com, OscarSubarats.com, ClosingIntelligence.com, or find our book on Amazon, Closing Intelligence. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone very much. And Blake, stay on the line so we can chat a little bit. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Blake.